How's it going everyone, my name's FallenDestroyer and welcome to the Warframe New Players Guide. So these guides are going to be aimed at people that are brand new to Warframe, and this series is basically going to show you how to get the most out of Warframe for the time that you put into it. And for those of you that haven't made an account yet, there will be a link in the description for you to use, which will actually give you a 7-day affinity booster so you can level your weapons and Warframes a hell of a lot faster. Okay, so after the intro cutscene you're given the first choice in the game, and that's which Warframe you want to start with. So you have the choice of Excalibur, Mag and Vault. But before you decide, I'll give you a little insight into each Warframe's abilities and what they're good for, although all of them are good as long as you mod them correctly. So Excalibur is the most popular choice as he's the most well-rounded of the three, and his first ability is Slash Dash, in which Excalibur will lunge forward, chaining from enemy to enemy and dealing a good amount of damage. His second ability is Radial Blind, in which he'll blind all enemies in a small area around him, leaving them vulnerable to finish attacks and easy kills. His third ability is Radial Javelin. This does a 360-degree attack that tracks towards enemies, and will also impale them and deal a huge chunk of damage. And finally his fourth ability is Exalted Blade, in which Excalibur makes a sword from light and can use it to slice through enemies and even send out blade waves hitting enemies at a distance. Moving on to Mag, who's a really good team buffer and really good at isolating single enemies. So her first ability is Pull, so the name says it all, you pull enemies in, dealing damage, and if they survive they fall to the ground, leaving them vulnerable because they're in melee range. Her second ability is Shield Polarize. You restore some of yours and your allies' shields while also damaging the enemies. Her third ability is Bullet Attractor. You mark an enemy and all bullets fired in close proximity will be pulled into the target, and if that target dies then they will also explode. And her last ability is Crush. Mag will lift up all the enemies around it and crush them, dealing damage, and the enemies that don't die are then left staggered. And lastly we have Vault, who's really good at hit and run tactics, who uses speed and electricity to overwhelm the enemies. So Vault's first ability is Shock, in which you electrocute an enemy, and it will also chain to other enemies nearby, and if the damage doesn't kill them then it does leave them stunned. Vault's second ability is Speed. This gives you and your allies a speed boost, allowing you to move extremely quickly and increases your melee speed. His third ability is Electric Shield, in which you put a shield up in front of you protecting you from enemy fire, but you can shoot through it and all bullets that pass through the shield will be given an electric damage bonus. And Vault's last ability is Overload, in which he will send out a pulse that will stun and damage enemies over a large area. So I'm going to be using Excalibur only because he's a Warframe I have a lot of knowledge of, but there's no need to do the same as I do, as either of the other two Warframes are equally good.
I see the Lotus has tried to wake you.
Now the second choice given to the players is your melee weapon, being either the Mark 1 Sakana or bow. So you should take the Sakana here, as you can buy the bow off the market later for credits, and the Sakana is much harder to obtain outside of this tutorial. The next choice you'll have is for your secondary weapon. You can choose between the Lato or the Mark 1 Kunai. So here you should use the Kunai, as you can buy the Lato off the market later for credits. And the last choice you'll have will be your primary weapon. You can choose either the Mark 1 Bratton or Paris. Now I would highly recommend that you take the Bratton here, simply because it's an assault rifle and it's going to be a lot more predictable for you, whereas the Paris is actually a bow, so you need time to pull your shots before firing your arrows. You're also going to need to be able to predict the enemy's movement so you can aim in front of them to hit them, and as a new player you're not really going to have the knowledge of how enemies move around. But either way you will be able to buy the other weapon from the market later on. So once you've completed the prologue tutorial, you will be on your ship. This is where you decide what mission you're going to do next, modding your weapons and Warframes, and of course making new weapons and Warframes. But before you can do any of that you will need to complete the Vor's Prize questline. It's only a few missions long and shouldn't take you more than around 30 minutes to complete. So to carry on with it, move towards the front of your ship and interact with the console. And from here you can select the next mission. Okay, so once you've done that questline the game really starts to open up to you. But to get the most benefit out of it you will need to get to Mastery Rank 2. And you do this by leveling up your weapons and Warframes, so you should never get rid of any item, whether it's a weapon, Warframe, Sentinel or Kubro, until you get it to max rank, which is level 30. And you will know you're ready to do next mastery test by being in your ship and go into the pause menu and the bar under your name will be full. The mastery rank tests aren't that difficult to do, but should you fail by time expiring or getting killed then you will have to wait 24 hours before you can try it again. So I would highly recommend you have your weapons and Warframes as close to if not level 30 before you even try it. And don't worry if the mastery rank bar is full, you will continue to gain affinity towards the next rank, even if you haven't taken the test yet. So when you reach level 30 with your current weapons, you're going to want to head to the market and buy the weapons you didn't get in the prologue mission. So go across to weapons, and in primary weapons you can buy the Bratton, Mark 1 Bratton or Paris depending on your initial choice, and the Mark 1 Strun. For secondary weapons you can get the Acolyto, Sicarus, Mark 1 Kunai, Furus or the Leto. And finally for melee weapons you can get the Mark 1 bow or thorax. So between all of these weapons you will easily be able to reach mastery rank level 2. So in the meantime keep playing missions and you're going to unlock Venus, Earth and Mars, all the while building up resources ready for when you're ready to start building new and better weapons and warframes. So if you have any questions just leave them down below in the comments and I'll answer them as soon as I can, and I'll also put a link to the game's wiki page in the description where you can get lots of information from there. So that's it for this video. I hope you found it helpful, and if you did then don't forget to smash that like button before you go, and until the next video, toodle pip.